Okay, so I'm going to show you one of the new solutions to automate RF coverage predictions, coverage analysis, and other kind of tasks in HTZ communication. So first I'm going to run the client. So that client could be deployed locally on your computer, and the server could be on a cloud or somewhere in your office, centralized. So from the drop down here, you can see you've got the server you're going to connect to. So you can have one server or more. So you can see the IP address, the port number, and the entry point for the API. So the status is connected, obviously. And now you can start designing what we call here a recipe. So in the recipe, you can go create a new task. So in the new task, you can define the job, the nature of the job you want to do. You want to do coverage predictions, or you want to do a CNR map, best server. You want to do microwave analysis or point-to-point, TIFF conversions, search node, and so on. So first, I'm going to do the coverage prediction. And here you can specify the map you're going to use, the baseline map. So I'm going to use here UK, which is 50-meter resolution map. And you can select the clutter. You can select the PRM or the propagation models configurations. So here we've got Dago, we've got ITM model, and so on. So I'm going to use the Dago model, for example. And here you can choose a legend if you eventually, now you don't need legend for the coverage predictions, but eventually if you want to do coverage analysis, you can also specify the palette you want to use. So the palette you could give him, this is LTE for example, you can have one for Tetra, one for DMR, Wi-Fi, and so on. So this is, I'm going to use the UK one, and you can choose vector for the analysis if you need to do analysis. So I'm going to go with none for now. And for the database, I'm going to select one of the databases I have on the server. So SQLite, you could connect it to different type of SQL servers. So each one of these is a table. So you define the receiver height, and you can choose to notify somebody upon completion. So this is the first task, add. So this is task number 1. I'm going to add 2 more tasks. So I'm going to add here the coverage in dBm, and I'm going to select the same terrain, same PRM and everything, legend. I'm going to use the same legend, and choose to save it to a specific location. So this is the output folder on the server. So it's going to export to this directory. So you can specify the endpoint or the destination. Add. This is another task. One more task to go. So the last task, I'm going to change the palette to another palette. So you can have different palettes to produce different analysis. Add. So this is task number 0. So it has no dependencies, -1. Now you can't do coverage analysis until you finish coverage predictions. So I'm going to go specify here 0 as a dependency, and here also dependent on 0. So what does it mean? It means this task will run first, and these two will run after, and these two can run in parallel. You don't have to wait for each other's. So this is pretty much the recipe that I designed, and you can see it in a different view. You can see it in a table view or tree view. So here you can see step number 0, which is the first job. So first job is, for example, coverage predictions, and you can see what layers you are passing to the server. So you can see what PRM is used and so on. So back to the table here. So that table is pretty much ready now. I can pretty much submit it now. Submit recipe to the server. So once it's submitted, you see, get a message here, submitted successfully, and then this is the link to access the information, and it's automatically going to the queue view. So jumping from recipe view to queue view. So queue view, this is the queue managed by the server. So you can see the server received three commands from me recently: coverage predictions and coverage analysis in dBm, 2 of them. And you can see in each case a unique ID is assigned to the individual task and to the recipe as a whole. And you can see the formats produced. So the software is going to produce TIFF format and KMZ format as a result of this. You can refresh and see what they're going. So I finished one task, and you can go now on the server, see what it's doing. So you can see what the server is doing. So the server here is exporting the analysis automatically for you. So I'm going to come back to my computer. So refresh one more time. So this is completed. Now there's still one more task is still running. So we just need to wait for it to finish. Here you go. Now 2 jobs are done. So what can you do with these 2 jobs now? You can double click on it if you want to see all the information. This is the recipe, the task summary as received by the server. So you can see all the information, what user sent the information, what the exports are, what the status is, and so on. Now what's interesting here is that actually you can go and directly save as. So you can go and save as, and based on the formats presented here, TIFF and KMZ, you will see you are given these 2 options here. So I can export this here and call it demo, live demo 1. So I'm going to save it in the test, and you see automatically it's downloaded and now opening Google Earth. So the job is here, added automatically. That's the first job. So it's a coverage, and I'm going to download the second job now. Right click here and save as. Also I'll save it as KMZ, but this time number 2. Okay, so let's have a look. So this is number 2. I'm going to add it here. Number 1 and number 2. There you go. Now they are here. So these 2 are slightly different. So this one has this palette, so green, blue. The other one is blue only. So you can say this is just an evidence that we're using different palettes. These 2 tasks are identical, they just have different palette for the analysis. Now what else can you download from this? So let's go here, right click, save as. I can download TIFF file, for example. Okay, demo 1, and you can see here the progress. The client is downloading from the server the TIFF file, and it's finished. So you can see this is the TIFF file here. So this TIFF file, you need to open it with the JS software. So it's really straightforward. You can also copy the URL if you wish to make this as a permanent link, or if in the future you reuse the same code, and or if you want to create a specific repeated task, you could give it a specific ID, and then you can link it with Google Earth. So now you see here. So I right click on this, and then I go copy URL and then paste the URL here in Google Earth. So URL will automatically be refreshed from the server. So in that case, the Google Earth as a client is talking directly to the server to get the latest snapshot of the coverage. So this is what I wanted to show you here, and feel free to ask for any questions.